Welcome to America Reads Fun Learning Activities. We are college students who create fun learning activities for kids. Our activities are focused on reading, writing, and math. My name is Emma, and I'm going to be helping you out today. In today's activity, we're going to be learning how to compare three-digit numbers based on the meanings of the hundreds, tens, and ones. First, let's define hundreds, tens, and ones. Here is a three-digit number. The hundreds number is going to be the biggest, and the one all the way to the left. In this case, it's going to be a 3, which means that the hundreds number represents 300. The tens number is going to be the middle number, and it's going to be the second biggest number. So in this case, it's 4, and it represents 40. The ones number is going to be the number on the right side and the smallest number. It represents 2. If you were to add 40 to 300, you would get 340. And if you were to add 2 to that, you would get 342. So that's an example of how to use hundreds, tens, and ones to break down our bigger number. You can also do this another way. For example, adding 40 to 2 would give you 42. You could then add 300 to 42, and you would again get 342. That's what these numbers represent. Now, let's try some examples. If I were to give you the number 265, let's break it down into hundreds, tens, and ones. First, let's start with the hundreds number. In this equation, if we look all the way to the left, to this side, our hundreds number is 2, which means it represents 200. Now let's look at the tens number, or the middle number. In this equation, the tens number is 6, which means that it represents 60. Now let's look at the ones number, or the last number. In this equation, the ones number is 5, which means it represents 5. Now let's do some math problems with these numbers, the hundreds, tens, and ones, to show you how we can get back up to our three-digit number. So if you remember in our three-digit number, our hundreds number is 200, our tens number is 60, and our ones number is 5. If we were to add our hundreds number and tens number together, we would get 200 plus 60, which is 260. If we were to add our tens number and our ones number together, which is 60 plus 5, we would get 65. Now, we're going to add our hundreds number to the combination of our tens number and ones number, which we just got in this one right here, which is going to be 65 and 200. 200 plus 65 is going to be 265. So that's an example of how we can get back up to our three-digit number from breaking it down. Now, if I were to give you the number 478, let's break it down into hundreds, tens, and ones. First, let's start with the hundreds number. In this equation, the hundreds number is 4, this number all the way to the left, which means it represents 400. Now let's do what we did in our last equation and add them together to get back up to our three-digit number of 478. So first we have our hundreds number of 400 plus our tens number of 70. So 400 plus 70 is going to be 470. Now let's add our tens number and our ones number, which is going to be 70 plus 8. 70 plus 8 is 78. Now let's add our hundreds number with the combination of our tens and ones number, which we just got in the last equation, which is 78. So we have 400 plus 78, which is going to be 478, which brings us right back up to that original three-digit number. Now, let's have you try this one on your own. So we're going to start with the number 363. So let's take a look at what our hundreds number would be for this equation. What would our hundreds number be? Look at this number right here. Perfect. Our hundreds number is going to be 300 because our hundreds number is 3. Now let's look at our tens number. What would our tens number be? 60. Perfect, because our number is 6 and it's our tens number, so it's going to be 60. Now let's look at our ones number. If our ones number is 3, what number does that represent? 3. Perfect. So we have a hundreds number of 300, a tens number of 60, and a ones number of 3. Now let's add those all together in a couple different ways to get back to 363. So let's start by adding our hundreds number and our tens number together. So what's 300 plus 60? Good job. It's going to be 360. Now what's our tens number plus our ones number? So what's 60 plus 3? Perfect, 63. Now let's add our combination of our hundreds number and our tens number, which we just got to be 360, to our ones number, which is 3. So what is 360 plus 3? Perfect, 363. So that's one way to get back up to our original number. Now let's add our hundreds number and the combination of our tens number and our ones number, which we just got right here. So 300 plus 63. What are you going to get there? Perfect, 363. Great job. Now that we've gone over our 3-digit numbers, let's go over our comparing signs. So for our comparing signs, we're going to have 3 signs. They're all going to be right here. With these signs, whatever the open side is pointing to is going to be the bigger one. So in this case, since this way is open, this would be bigger. And in this case, since this one is open, this is going to be bigger, whatever's right here. And then of course we have our equal sign, which means that whatever 2 things you're comparing are equal. So a really great way to think about this is to think about cookies. So when you have a really big cookie, obviously you want to eat it. So if somebody offers you a small cookie versus a big cookie, you're going to want to eat the big cookie, right? So here I have 2 cookies. This one is obviously a lot bigger than this one. So we have these 2 comparing signs, and what we want to do is have our mouth open towards the bigger cookie, because obviously we want to eat the bigger cookie. So right here, this one has its mouth open, facing this way. Is that the one we want to use? Is that facing the bigger cookie? Maybe. What about this one? Does this one have its mouth open towards the bigger cookie? Maybe. Which one has its mouth open towards the bigger cookie? Which one is going to show us which cookie we want to eat? Perfect. This one. So this sign we're going to put in right there to show our mouth is open towards the bigger cookie. That cookie is the one that we want to eat. So when we talk about comparing numbers, I want you to draw these cookies. So take a piece of paper and draw 2 cookies, one small one and one big one, and cut them out. Because we're going to basically be comparing these cookies to the numbers. Then we're going to be putting the bigger cookie with the bigger number and the smaller cookie with the smaller number. And it'll help you figure out what sign to use, because you're going to want to go towards the bigger cookie or the bigger number. Okay, so let's look at these 2 numbers and let's compare them. So the first thing we're going to do is figure out which one is bigger by looking at our hundreds, tens, and ones like we just went over. So in this case, we don't have any numbers in the tens or the ones. See how there's zeros there? So there's no numbers in the tens or the ones. So we're just going to be focusing on this hundreds number. So let's figure out which hundreds number is bigger. So in 200, our hundreds number is 2, right? Yeah, so we're going to write 2 right here. In 300, our hundreds number is 3. So we're going to write 3 right there. Now, which number is bigger? 3. Because if you count 1, 2, 3, 3 is going to be after 2, which means it's going to be the bigger number. So because the hundreds number is all we have to go off of, 300 is going to be bigger than 200. So let's put our cookies here so that we can figure out which one's bigger. So we have a cookie right here, our big cookie. And we just said that 300 is going to be the bigger number, so it's going to get the bigger cookie. Now we have our small cookie. So our small cookie is going to go to the smaller number, which is going to be 200. Now let's take our sign and figure out which way we want it to face. So remember, we want it to face the bigger cookie with the mouth open, facing towards the bigger cookie. So let's pick this sign, because this sign has its mouth facing towards the bigger cookie. Perfect, great job. So in this equation, we have the 2 numbers 446 and 443. So let's figure out which one is bigger by looking at our hundreds, tens, and ones numbers. So let's look at our hundreds numbers first. So first, in 446, our hundreds number is going to be 4, right? Now let's look at our hundreds number in 443. Our hundreds number is going to be 42, right? So now let's look at our tens number, because 4 and 4 are the same. So we need to move on to our tens number. So the tens number for 446 is going to be 4, right? Now let's look at our tens number for 443, which is going to be 42. So our hundreds numbers are the same, and so are our tens numbers. So because we can't tell which one is bigger yet, because everything's the same, we have to now look at our ones numbers. So let's look at our ones numbers. The ones number in 446 is going to be 6. Now let's look at our ones number in 443, which is going to be 3. So as you can see, even though they have the same numbers here, so the hundreds numbers are the same, the tens numbers are the same, the ones numbers are going to be different. So which one of them has a bigger ones number? Which one is bigger, 6 or 3? 6. So because of that, because they have 446 has the bigger ones number, even though these two are the same, it's going to be the bigger number, which means it's going to get the bigger cookie. So just to explain that again, just in case, just to make sure you understand, even though they have the same hundreds numbers and the same tens numbers, they have different ones numbers. So you have to figure out which of those ones numbers is bigger to figure out which of the numbers is bigger. So let's give that one the big cookie, and let's give 443 the small cookie. And let's figure out which way we want our mouth facing so that it's facing towards the bigger number, which we just decided is 446, or the bigger cookie. Perfect, so we want it facing this way because we know that 446 is the bigger cookie and we want our mouth facing towards the bigger cookie. Great job. Now let's look at these two numbers. So in this one, we have 883 and 883. So let's figure out which one is bigger by looking at our hundreds, tens, and ones numbers. So first let's look at our hundreds number. In 883, our hundreds number is 8. In 883, our hundreds number is also going to be 8. Which one of those is bigger? None. They're equal because 8 and 8 are the same. So let's move on to our tens number. What's our tens number for 883? 8. Now let's look at our tens number for 883. What's it going to be? 8. So which one of those is bigger? Neither of them. They're going to be equal again. 8 and 8 are the same. So let's look at our ones number. What's our ones number here? 3. What's our ones number here? 3. Which one of those is bigger? Neither of them are bigger. They're equal because 3 and 3 are the same. So we have equal hundreds numbers, equal tens numbers, and equal ones numbers, which means that the number is going to be equal to each other. They're the same. So we're going to use our equal sign for that. So now let's have you do an example. So the first thing we're going to do is compare these two numbers, 123 and 267. What are the hundreds numbers for 123 and 267? Let's start with 123. What's going to be the hundreds number for 123? Perfect, 1. What's going to be the hundreds number for 267? Perfect, 2. Great job. So now let's figure out which one of those two is bigger, because are 1 and 2 the same? No. So which one is going to be bigger? 2. Good job. So 267 is going to be bigger than 123. So let's figure out which is the bigger cookie. So which one has the big cookie? 267. Good job. Which one has the smaller cookie? 123. Good job. Which way do we want our mouth facing? Towards 267. Perfect. Great job. Thank you for learning with us today. We hope you come back and learn some more soon. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll be back with more fun educational videos soon.